Welcome to the Wandering Pen podcast. I'm Christine Musser, the host. Today's episode is a little different. It's different for one, there's no guest. And for two, I'm going to share a little bit here in the beginning about myself, which has to do with speaking. Speaking openly has become very difficult for me over the last couple of years. I've dealt with anxiety, especially when it comes to sharing my voice in public. I used to be able to confidently do presentations, and it has become now that I'm pretty much just stay down and not comfortable with doing them. But it's getting better. That's the positive. One thing people will say about me is I have tenacity and I have resilience and I persevere. So I just fight against all the odds. So that's the good stuff. Since I've done these podcasts, which I've known nothing about doing, they're completely from scratch and I'm learning as I go. And I'd like to think that they've improved some. I hope you can see some of the difference. It's not perfect, but then this podcast is not about being perfect. It's about being present. It's not about performance. It's about connection. And when I focus on people I'm talking to and the stories they bring, that anxiety that I feel fades away because I become engrossed in the story. I listen closely, I ask honest questions, and something powerful happens. The Wandering Pen was born out of love for storytelling, genuine storytelling, the kind that reveals who we are, where we've been, and what we've learned along the way. My guests aren't afraid to show or share their vulnerabilities. And the one thing that every guest shows, whether it's a story they're talking about that find a lost cemetery in New Hampshire.
We're about a young girl who wanted to be a writer, and her father tells her writers are maggots of the earth. Or about an author who finds out that her stories focused on death had to do with the loss that she experienced in her real life.
These stories are people's stories, and in some way, I am certain that they connect with you, the listeners. So I'm moving on with a different type of podcast. I'm going to step out of this role now as being the host. I'm going to turn into the announcer. So stay tuned. You don't want to miss what's coming. Welcome to episode 21. Today's episode took place on Thursday, May 29th, 2025. As I said earlier, today's episode is different. It's not an interview or a deep dive into someone else's story. It's a celebration, a reflection, a pause to honor every story that's been told, shared so far. When I started this podcast, I wasn't sure exactly what it would become. I just knew I wanted to create a space where voices are honored, where stories, real, vulnerable, and often overlooked, could be heard. Then I've had the privilege of speaking with historians, with novelists, with artists, and people who've lived through things that reshape the way they see the world. People who've reminded me, and maybe reminded you too, that life holds something worth listening to. Every voice matters. People matter. This episode is in my way of saying thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you to my guests and to you, the listeners. and to everyone who has helped shape the podcast into something meaningful. And now I want to give you a little glimpse of what's ahead. So my future guests include the following, and it's not in any particular order as they will be guests. First, I'm going to mention Cynthia O'Neal, who I've actually have known since 2003 or 2002, I guess, when we started Vermont College together in Montpelier, Vermont. Cynthia is a triracial writer living in the mountains of Western North Carolina. Her work is steeped in nature, spirit, and memory, shaped by cultural identity, resilience, and a lifetime spent listening to horses and the land. She and I will discuss writing as deeply personal act, how solitude has taught her to listen more closely, and how a major health challenge has reshaped her approach to life and creativity. Then there's Natalie Crawford, who I met several years ago on a family trip to St. Martin. I love Natalie. She is the glass half full person, but she has had challenges along the way. And you will be able to hear them and how positive she's become today in spite of those challenges. She is a real estate trailblazer with a story of perseverance that's as inspiring as it is honest. She opens up about the challenges she's faced, what it took to rise above them, and how staying grounded in purpose and people changed her. She's more than a professional success story. She's someone who sees potential where others might not, in homes, in people, in herself. Then there's Nancy Jean Ross, a writer, translator, poet, a literary scholar whose work has centered on the intimate and intellectual legacy of Mexican author Rosario Castellano. Nancy will share Rosado's compelling story, who gave voice to the silence. These conversations are deeply human. They're about more than facts or timelines. They're about what it feels like to be alive, to remember, to grow, to overcome adversity, and reach for the stars, reach for what's positive. And if you've been listening along, thank you for wandering with me. If you're new, welcome. You're in good company here. And if you've been trying to shape your own story and you're ready to pull it together, you may want to join my memoir class, which will start June 23rd. You can learn more about that at thewanderingpen.net. So that's www.thewanderingpen.net. And you can also listen to the past podcasts there. And if you want, you could even become a guest on my podcast. That would be wonderful. So if you want to learn more about me, you can go onto my website, as I said earlier, which I will have in the narrative to this podcast. You can learn, you can read the things I've written, you can read my bio, you can listen to my podcast. You can also see other blogs that I have and things I've written. So feel free to wander on over there. And thanks again for taking the time to listen and to subscribe to the podcast. And please share it. It's important that I build up the momentum for this. It's brand new, and I really want to get it out there because I truly believe that these stories that are being shared on my podcast need to be heard. So thanks again for listening, and keep wandering. Take care.